I tend to find that these figure questions end up being harder when there's more text involved in the passage, and especially more text involved in the choices, because it just means you have to read a lot and go back and forth a lot. But one good thing about questions like this is we don't really need to read much of the passage. Most of it is just explanatory information that we could go back to if we need to, and occasionally it's important. But here, look at the question, right? Which choice best describes the data from the graph that support, we need to make sure we pay attention to that, support the researcher's conclusion. And then if we go to the last sentence here, after analyzing the results, the researchers concluded that longer leave times might not confer a greater cognitive benefit than shorter leave times do. So in the real thing, you could quickly read the rest of it. I'm not going to waste your time with it. It's just basically telling us what's already obvious from the graph. But the key piece here is they said at the end, this is the conclusion. So it's not like we have to guess what they concluded. They're just going to come out and say it. So that part of this kind of question is not really hard. But we should summarize it. It's a little weird the way it's worded. Basically what they're saying is long, not better than short. Now, we could also summarize this as that long is worse than short, but that's not quite what they said. So I don't know, that seems a little stronger. Basically, it might just be that they're equal, right? So not better and worse are not always going to be the same thing. But let's take a look here. We clearly have, though, a dumb summary for what we're going to be looking for in this awful graph. Choice A. In the second test administration, participants who took 2 to 4 days of leave had higher average attentiveness scores than those who took no leave. Okay, now that's true. That's this bar compared to the one to the left of it. But why are we talking about people who took no leave? That's not really part of my dumb summary, right? We're talking about long versus short. No leave is not short or long. It's none, right? So that's slightly different. But in the third test administration, those who took no leave, again, is that really what we're interested in? Had higher average scores than those who took 1 to 5 weeks of leave. Now that's also true, but I don't know. We're comparing this bar to this bar. I don't know. Why are we bringing in no leave? That didn't seem like part of my conclusion, so why is that going to be part of my answer? Let's continue, though. It's not wrong. It's not factually incorrect. It is true, but I don't know that it supports the conclusion. B, in the first test administration, participants who took 2 to 4 days of leave had lower average attentiveness scores than did those who took 1 to 5 weeks of leave and those who took no leave. Now, that's true, but that seems to be saying the opposite of what we want, right? This is saying that short is, or they're saying long is better than short, right? Because the long is a higher bar, right? So this seems to be undermining the claim. And sometimes the SAT could ask for that. So not here, but they could. Let's look at C. In both the second and third test administrations, participants who took 2 to 4 days of leave had higher average attentiveness scores than did participants who took 1 to 5. Now, even without checking the chart, that is exactly what our conclusion says, right? This is the short, and they're higher, so that's better than the number of weeks, the long, right? So that is saying short is better than long. Now, is that true? 2 to 4 days in the second and third is, yes, that's the middle bar is higher than the right black bar in both. So that seems true. Let's look at D and just make sure. In the second and third test administrations, participants who took 2 to 4 days of leave had higher average attentiveness scores than did those who took no leave. That is also true, but that is not what we want because no leave is 0, not long or short. So it is going to be C, but notice that I wasn't really like 100% sure about A until I really got to C and then looked at it. But this is the benefit of a dumb summary, right? If we're just thinking, okay, the conclusion they have is about long versus short, then when they start talking about the no leave, I'm just like, all right, that wasn't part of it, right? I don't care. There are things that are true here, but they're not related to that conclusion. So having a quick summary of the conclusion really helped me sort through these very long and tedious choices. So I do recommend when it looks like it's going to be a pain in the neck because of how long the passage and the choices are for these figure questions, then try to condense it, try to, pick the right things to read and have a clear idea in your head what you're looking for, because you don't want to sink 5 minutes into this question. It's not worth it.